Hey guys, Rhett here, Section 8 guy. Thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, leave your questions and comments below. I'll get to every single one. So, here it is, the million-dollar question. How to buy your first rental property. Now, that question is so multifaceted, I don't even know where to start. But to make it easier, I'm going to list a couple of unbelievably important crucial points, okay, to the steps necessary to buying your first rental property, okay? Now, this is regardless of where you intend to buy. This is just a little broad way for you to make sure that you have these things checked off on before you actually start, okay? Now, not even on this board, the number one thing is you need to make sure you have a plan. Now, what does that mean? Obviously, I know a lot of first-time investors are on YouTube, they're on Bigger Pockets, they're checking forums, they're reading literature, whatever they're doing, they're making sure that they have as much information as possible. The problem with being a first-time real estate investor when it comes to rental property is you don't know what information to look for. You're just trying to get as much information as you can. That can be overwhelming, that can be really, really tough. Especially when there's so much information and so many people are jamming stuff down your throats. It's hard to know, A, what's the right information, and B, what's the right information for you, okay? Because there's a difference. A lot of people are spewing a lot of things that are completely untrue. So I'm glad you found us here. We're gonna guide you in the right direction, okay? Now, number one, you need to create a plan. That's above all of this because that's the most important thing. What kind of real estate do you want to buy? How much money are you trying to make? What is your risk tolerance? What are you looking for? Are you looking for high yield? Are you looking for high cash flow? Are you looking for high appreciation over the next 20 years? What you want comes before any of this stuff, all right? So think about it to yourself. What are you looking for? Are you looking for appreciation or cash flow? What is your overall plan? Do you want 1? Do you want 50? Whatever that is, you have to start this process with the end goal in your mind already, okay? This is not the kind of thing you fly by the seat of your pants and say, oh, this one is cool, I want maybe 2. You don't do that. We have to start out with the end in mind, okay? Start with the end goal, the end result, and it will help you get there, all right? So, without further ado, let's dive in. Number one, once you've already established a plan, you know what you want out of this, okay? The number one thing is, how do we achieve that? In real estate, the prices are crazy high. How do we plan on purchasing our first rental property? Do we plan on using cash that we have, okay? Or do we plan on financing? If you plan on using cash, you have that cash, okay? Don't worry about that cash. You already have it. If you are financing, you have to figure out, okay, who am I going to use to fund this, right? Whether it's a private investor, whether it's a family member, or whether it's a pre-approval, right? Which is the one that I would push you towards, not a family member, not hard money, right? You need a pre-approval, okay? Go to a lender, get a pre-approval. Before we start even looking at properties, we have to make sure that the financing aspect is right, because almost 100% of the time in the market right now, you're gonna need, if you're a cash buyer, you're gonna need a proof of funds with an offer. So you have to literally take a picture of your bank account that shows X amount of dollars in there, and it needs to be sufficient to cover whatever the property you're putting an offer in is. Or if you're financing, you need to send a copy of your pre-approval from your lender, okay? So number one, we need to get our financing locked in, and we need to have that completely lined up before we even start looking at properties, okay? Now, second off, where? Are we gonna be an in-state investor? Are we gonna be an out-of-state investor? Being an out-of-state investor is hard unless you have a mentor, a coach, or somebody that has a full team in a certain location, okay? Otherwise, if it's your first time investing in rental property, it's more wise for you to be there, okay? Now, I understand that some of you are in California, parts of Florida, parts of Texas, Boston, New York, New Jersey, wherever you guys are. The properties are outrageous. They're so expensive. You can't afford to get into a rental property as your first rental. And if you can't afford it, you're not going to make any money, because even look at Florida. I just bought a property in Florida, and HOA fees are so high, it's hard to make any spread on your money. Okay, you're buying a property that's so expensive. Your principal, your principal and interest payments unbelievably high. Then add an HOA on top of that, unbelievably hard to make money. So I understand everyone wants to get out of state. They want to invest in cheaper places that are more affordable, places that have, where your first investment property, you're not going to be losing sleep over because you're not spending $1 million on it. And I completely understand that. So, number 2, where are we going to invest? Okay. If it's your first time investing in rental property and you can't afford something in your city or on the outskirts, that's not a bad option, because at least you can go to it, you can stay up with the rehab of it, you can check in on tenants, you can do drive-bys. Those are all important aspects of this if you don't have teams operating in another state, okay? Number 3, where to buy, what's hot right now. You guys need to talk to an agent, a real estate agent, okay? Do not buy your first property from wholesalers. Do not buy your first property off market. Talk to a real estate agent, because they are unbelievably familiar with the market you want to buy in. Call around, ask questions, okay? See what's being rented, see what's being purchased, see what people are getting the best deals on. It'll give you a feel for also how much money you're going to need. Say, hey, what are properties going over right now? If a property is listed for $100,000, what is it selling for? How many offers are on it, right? If the real estate agent says, if it's listed for 100, it's selling for 110. Or if it's listed for 100, it's selling for 140. Okay, those are important things to know. So it's going to give you a better sense of literally in that actual market you plan on investing in, what's happening at the moment, okay? How do you find a real estate agent? Call around, okay? Look online, look at reviews, ask around, ask me, okay? Shoot me an email, ask me the best person to use, all right? Now, number 4, once you find a place, you need a contractor, okay? Now, I don't care if it says it's turnkey. It's not turnkey. There's no such thing as turnkey rental properties, okay? Every place needs work. Every place needs to be tenant-proofed. Whether it only needs a couple $1,000s in work, it's still not turnkey, okay? There's no such thing unless you're buying a property that's literally already cash flowing, already has a tenant. And even still, a lot of the times when you inherit a property like that, that's already cash flowing, you still need to go in and do deferred maintenance that the old landlord left behind because they knew they were selling it. They didn't want to fix it, even though it needs to be fixed, okay? There's no such thing. So you need to find a good contractor who's really good, who is trusting, who's honest, tough, okay, very tough. How do you do that? You need to look online, you need to call people, you need to check references, you need to do unbelievable amounts of due diligence, okay? Call property management companies, see who they use. You guys need to reach out and check forums online. This is the hardest part. If you're working by yourself and you don't have somebody helping you out, and you don't have a good team of trustworthy people, this is the biggest hurdle for almost all first-time real estate investors, because these two right here, contractor and our next part, management, is where people get taken advantage of the most because it's easy. First-time real estate investors, people see you coming from a long ways away, all right? I just had a client who has 2 rental properties, and his management company quoted him, and you know who you are if you're watching this video, G. The management company quoted him over $2,000 for a plumbing repair, okay? It was absurd. He sent it to me. I said, absolutely not. Let's call somebody else. We called somebody else, and they got the job done for $600. I mean, you're talking about saving almost $2,000. Come on. Because what are you going to do if you're an out-of-state investor? The management company says, hey, this needs $2,500 in work. You're going to pay the $2,500. Absolutely not. We need to do our due diligence, okay? Even if a management company that we found is trying to sub-work out to their people, we're still going to make phone calls. We're still going to make our due diligence. We're going to make sure that before management company touches any rehab in our property, we are making phone calls. We're calling plumbers, electricians, contractors. We're calling people too to get our own quotes. We want to see where they're at because we want to know who we're dealing with, okay? Now, that goes back to these two are kind of intertwined in that sense, okay? But with a management company, there are certain things that we'll do, and I'll have my clients do especially, to make sure that the management company doesn't have too much power over us. All management companies stink. Nobody can manage a property as well as you can because you're an investor. It's your property, you own it. So there are ways that we go about this to make sure that the management company does not have too much power over us, okay? It's incredibly important. Find a good management company, talk to investors, call references, see who other big investors in the area are using, go with them, all right? Lastly, evaluate. When you have a rental property and it's locked in and it's cash flowing every single month, don't buy another one. Hang back, make sure everything goes smoothly, make sure it's what you like to do, cash flow it for a couple months. Then when you say, you know what, I like this, I want another one, buy another one. Don't buy two to start. Don't buy one and then 2 months later buy another one. Establish your first one, cash flow it for a couple months, and then move on to your next one, okay? Don't do this too quickly. I also want you to evaluate whether how this trended was in relation, lined up with your goals, the end that you started with at the beginning, right? Okay, am I trending in the direction I want to be trending in? Did this rental property help me on my path to my end goal? And if not, you need to go back and clean this thing up to where it does. All right, guys? So evaluate. Is this where I want to be? Do I like this? Am I on my way to my goal? Guys, thanks for watching today. I know that was a lot of information coming at you quick. Hope you understood it all. If you didn't, leave questions, comments below. I'll get to every single one, and we'll see you next time.